Are exclusives bad for the consumer? That's the topic of the week. Sony announced that Spider-Man will be playable exclusively on the PlayStation version of the Avengers game, and Xbox and PC players went crazy. Let's talk about it. Xbox players were going nuts after Sony announced the Spider-Man exclusivity in the Avengers game. And they were talking about how it's anti-consumer and how they should all get together and boycott the game. Before the Spider-Man announcement was made, everyone, including Xbox and PlayStation gamers, were looking forward to this game, without Spider-Man ever being involved in any way. All of a sudden, they want to boycott the game because of a character who everyone knows has significant ties to Sony, gets announced as a PlayStation exclusive and everyone acts shocked and surprised and angered. Exclusive content to brands is how companies gain a competitive edge in the marketplace, or how they differentiate themselves from competitors. It's done in most consumer-based industries. I used to watch some Star Wars movies on Netflix not that long ago, and then Disney Plus comes out, and now I can't find a single thing that is Star Wars based on Netflix. Anything Star Wars based is only on Disney Plus. Now we have Apple TV Plus, Hulu, HBO Max, and there's more subscription services to come. All of them will have exclusive content, and all of them will pay third parties for the right to exclusively air their content. Probably for a limited time, but that could be for more than a year. And you know what, it could also be deals where their exclusivity is perpetual, so they go on forever or for as long as both parties are happy. These sort of deals and exclusivity happens all the time. The question is this anti-consumer? No, I don't think so. I believe it's a definition of the free market. If Apple TV Plus wants to be a top dog in the subscription service world, they're going to have to make exclusive content that's as good as or better than what Netflix is already offering everybody. If Hulu wants to stay alive, they're going to have to step up their game in exclusives or shift strategies and compete in the live TV space against YouTube, Sling, and Fubo. As consumers, I believe in the next 3 or 4 years we should have a lot of content to choose from and competitive pricing. So how could that be anti-consumer? Now, if any one of those services fail to meet our expectations, they're going to go under. And that's basically the definition of the free market, or how it's supposed to operate. Okay, let's get back to gaming. Sony and Microsoft now more than ever have completely different strategies to their PlayStation and Xbox divisions. Let's talk facts. The PlayStation division is a huge part of Sony's business. It's lucrative as fuck for them. In 2019, the PS division earned $20 billion for them. That's 26% of their entire earnings for that year. That's no joke. In the same time, Xbox made $11 billion, or just a little above $11 billion, which is about 8% of Microsoft's revenue for that year. So one can conclude that PlayStation means more to Sony than Xbox does to Microsoft. I know that's not fair to say, but if you just looked at the numbers, one can conclude that because, again, PlayStation's making more than a quarter of their yearly earnings. I mean, Sony's making more than a quarter of their yearly earnings from PlayStation. I'm sure Xbox needs and wants to generate more revenue, as the fourth quarter of 2019, from what I looked up, Apple's gaming division made more money than Microsoft's gaming division. And I don't ever play an Apple game or use Apple's gaming for anything, and I own every Apple product. I didn't even know Apple's gaming division earned money in the billions. So we come to this point where Xbox now is going to lean heavily on Xbox Game Pass, and they're going to shift their strategy to generating most of their Xbox division revenue from the subscription service. Some of what that entails is really exciting for most consumers. Offering games on a platform on first day of release, I mean, that's pretty cool. You're paying $15 a month and you can play all the exclusive games they're going to make from here on the first day of release without having to save up money to buy a game or anything like that. As long as you have your $15 a month, you're playing the game. Now, Microsoft's challenge is going to be the same as Apple TV Pluses or Disney Pluses or HBO Maxes, which is, how do I get more people to sign up for my subscription service? The answer to that is good content, including exclusives. So exclusives are going to be a big key for Game Pass to succeed. Think about it, how many people, including myself, signed up for Disney Plus just to watch The Mandalorian or any other Star Wars content? Without Star Wars, I definitely would not be signing up to Disney Plus. I wonder how many people like me there are. I'm sure the other demographic for Disney Plus is people with children, right? You could just turn on the app, put on a cartoon, and they watch it. Point is, they have the Star Wars exclusives for people like myself, and they have the kids movies for people who want the TV to babysit their kids. Sorry if you do that. I didn't mean it in a bad way. Like, how many people are going to subscribe to Game Pass just for Halo Infinite? Instead of paying $60 or $70, just pay $15 a month, and you play Halo and a bunch of other games. It's a good plan, and it's a good idea, I get it, but here's the problem with this plan. And it's mostly a problem for Microsoft. I'm not really talking about the consumer. Console makers like Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony have always paid third-party devs for exclusives. Sometimes they're timed exclusives, and sometimes they're outright exclusives, right? Like Bloodborne. Now, everything I'm going to say is in theory from this point, because I'm going to use theoretical numbers. I don't have all the numbers, but the logic behind what I'm saying is what I want you to pay attention to. And let me know in the comments section below if you agree or disagree. And by the way, if you're still watching this, thanks for sticking around. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. And just let me know if I'm doing a good job or if you like these videos or not. Alright, so here we go. With the Game Pass strategy, if you wanted to include a third-party developer's game in your ecosystem or your subscription service, then you're probably going to have to pay them a bunch of money that in the long run might not be worth the investment. For example, let's say Microsoft wanted to make GTA 6 available on the Game Pass. And let's say Rockstar has forecasted that GTA 6 should bring them about $120 million in revenue on the Xbox console, or the Xbox Series X, with limited ownership, mind you. So I'm doing these numbers as if Xbox Series X has only been out for a year, so not that many people own it yet. You know, it's still fresh, and GTA 6 is forecasting that they're going to make $120 million in revenue from the Series X. $120 million amounts to 666,000 subscribers. And how I got that number was dividing $120 million by $180, which is how much Xbox Game Pass costs for the year per subscriber, right? So if I wanted to be on Xbox Game Pass $15 a month for 12 months, that's $180 a year. I wouldn't be enticed if I was Microsoft to make so many deals like this one, right? Because these deals are going to cost me a lot of money, and these third parties, they're not just going to give away their game and put it on Game Pass. They're going to want to make sure that they're getting something for it. Because if I don't give it to Microsoft to put on Game Pass and I just release it, I'm going to make $120 million or close to. But if Microsoft comes to me and says, I'm going to give you $120 million cash, well then I'd rather have the guaranteed money. But it's not cheap, right? So Microsoft has to justify that investment, and 666,000 new subscribers might not, the math doesn't add up. They might go, well, these people were going to subscribe to Game Pass anyways. Are we going to get a fresh 666,000 subscribers by paying Rockstar this $120 million? And I'm not even talking about paying Rockstar for the right to make that an exclusive or timed exclusive on Xbox, because then you'd have to pay them even more. Because now they have to forecast what they would lose in sales by delaying the release to PlayStation, right? And PlayStation is always the bigger marketplace. There's going to be more players on PlayStation. So if they're forecasting to make $120 million on Series X, you better believe the forecast for PS5 is going to be almost double that. So in order for this Game Pass strategy to work, Microsoft's going to have to up their game in making games. That was hard to say. Up their game in making games. They're going to have to make better games, because they're going to have to rely heavily on their in-house studios to populate the content of their subscription service. It's the same way with Netflix. It's the same way with Apple TV Plus. It's the same way with HBO Max. They rely on their in-house production companies to make these games, or they sign production companies like Apple TV Plus has already signed on, like Scorsese, DiCaprio, and numerous other production company owners to produce content for their subscription service, and obviously they're going to fund the production from beginning to the end. So Microsoft's going to have to either do it in-house or hire developers and fund the whole project. Either way, in the gaming industry, that's basically doing it in-house, or you're basically paying for the production just like Sony's doing with, say, Bloodborne or Demon's Souls. Point is, Microsoft's going to have to up their game because their game on that side of things has not been on par with Sony's, or Nintendo's for that matter. Now, in the meantime, since Sony doesn't have that strategy, Sony's sticking to the age-old strategy of coming out with great exclusive games in-house and then also using their power and money to pay third parties for timed exclusivities. It makes the game a lot easier for Sony to play, the old game that is. And I wouldn't be surprised, and that's the rumors we're hearing, that Sony's paid a lot of powerful third-party developers for timed exclusive content. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony can knock on GTA 6's door and say, here's $120 million, make GTA 6 a timed exclusive on PlayStation. Now that way, Rockstar is not going to miss out on PlayStation sales, so they're still going to make whatever they forecasted on PlayStation. They're collecting what they were going to make from Series X from Sony in cash, guaranteed, and Sony's okay with it because every time GTA 6 sells on Sony's PlayStation 5, Sony's going to recoup a little bit of their money back from that. And also, it's going to let them be known as the console where you want to play GTA 6 because you can't even get it on the other console. That's what we're going to see happening with a lot of games. I wouldn't be surprised if Call of Duty, Final Fantasy, GTA 6, and all these games are timed exclusives on Sony because Microsoft, it doesn't really fit their strategy, does it? Their strategy is to grow the Xbox subscription service, the Game Pass. And paying hundreds of millions of dollars there's not going to be a way for Microsoft to justify it unless they truly believe that every single game they paid $100 million for is going to generate 600,000 new subscribers that wouldn't have subscribed otherwise. That's the catch. Wouldn't have subscribed otherwise. And I just don't think that's a number they're going to be able to come up with. Alright, this was a long one. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.